The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
We are the Tartan, the Rab Saris, and the Rab Shakeh from Lachish, and along with us, a great army. Now listen up. Thus says the great king, the king of Assyria. What confidence is this in which you trust? You speak of having plans and power for war, but they are mere words. And in whom do you trust that you rebel against me? Now look, you are trusting in the staff of this broken reed, Egypt, on which if a man leads, it will go into his hand and pierce it? So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to whom you all trust in. But if you say to me, we trust in the Lord our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away and said to Judah and Jerusalem, you shall not worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Now, therefore, I urge you, give a pledge to my master Sennacherib, king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses, if you are able on your part to put riders on them. How then will you repel one captain of the least of my master's servants and put your trust in Egypt for chariots and horsemen? Have I now come up without the Lord against this place to destroy it? The Lord has said to me, go up against this land and destroy it.
Join us as we navigate the challenges of a nation, the triumphs of faith, and the enduring lessons of courage in the face of adversity. Step into the captivating world of 2 Kings chapter 18, where history and spirituality converge. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right. Welcome back to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast, here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gay.
and Earl Roberts. We definitely appreciate you guys for tuning in with us another week. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also check out our Patreon page. And yeah, weekly thought. You got any?
Bro, God is good. And this is a silly thought. Just we were just talking about off mic, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're just talking about, all of God's creations, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have certain animals, certain creatures that because of sin, they are scary. You know what I'm saying? Like you just don't like them. Snakes is one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like roaches, definitely, right? But it's like we are talking about the serpent and the fact that angels, you remember Jesus say we would be like angels in heaven. They're not given into marriage or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if they're not given into marriage, they don't procreate, because that is the godly ordained way to procreate through marriage, right? And so because of that, we know that the devil as the serpent would not have been able to produce other serpents, right? But the Lord still cursed the serpent to take away its legs and wings so that it could slither on the ground. You feel me? Although it wasn't the actual animal, it was the devil transform as an animal, but the Lord take away them features. And I'm saying, like, even God in his infinite wisdom, like, I just can't imagine how horrific that creature would have been, not only because it would be associated with the fall of humanity, right? But also it is already kind of like menacing, and it's flying now and
Imagine a
crawling.
flying anaconda, a flying king cobra, mercy. And
Exactly,
they poison it.
exactly.
Lord of mercy.
Exactly, bro. Like it's almost like you cannot escape the thing. Like you have to kill it. If it's trying to bite you, you will have to kill it. You know what I'm saying?
Mercy.
And so God in his infinite wisdom, he prevents things from happening like ahead of time. Like we serve a God who like protects us from the unknown before we could even anticipate the problem. I think about going to heaven and talking to God or my quote unquote guardian angel, as they say. I don't have biblical evidence to support that, but talking to whoever was directly responsible for protecting the cause every day and asking them how many times a day or a week did you save me from dying? You know what I'm saying? Like, how often has that happened? A poet, it was a poet, I think her name was Lucille Clifton. She says, celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. I thought that was so deep because we know the devil is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. You know what I'm saying? So if like we are not devoured, especially if we have life right now, right? It's like the Lord has successfully protected us to today. And it's a lot of us have had, not a lot of us, but some people have had near that experience. Some people may have not, but you got to be able to thank God for the things that he prevented ahead of time, the things that you may never know that he prevented, he saved you from. You know, I may not have known how angry someone was at me to inflict harm at me, but the Lord stopped it. Or somebody who randomly wanted to inflict harm to me for no reason, and the Lord stopped them, or the fact that I was not at this place at this time. You know, it's so many things that could occur that we would just have no insight on. We would never know until we get to heaven. But, you know, still thankful that the Lord, it takes care of our needs even before they become needs. So that's my thought.
I really just can't think of a flying snake.
I'm thankful to praise ye the Lord.
You thought it was good though. You thought it was very good. Like just showing how much forethought that God gives us, and we don't even know or can know. You know what I'm saying? Like how many times we would have like I remember a couple of weeks ago, me, you, and Dom had this whole conversation that Dom brought to our group and was talking like how do we know when we hear the voice of the Lord or something to that effect. And we were just talking for like, you know, it was like an hour just going back and forth. Everyone giving like their little discussion, like how do we know the voice of the Lord? But it's like that still small voice or that feeling or that little whisper, that thought you get in your head, we're telling you, do this, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? God telling you, instructing you to do something that's protecting you. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know what was the reason why you might be going through some of these things. And man, it's funny. A lot of times we might attribute inconveniences to the devil, but it might be God protecting you from something.
Very true.
Like, man, you couldn't find your key for 10 minutes. People say, oh, the devil busy. You don't know, like God already said, buddy, if you leave your house now as a drunk driver on the road, you ain't going to see him. You might get T-boned. I might as well hide your key in the couch for a while. You know what I'm saying?
It's like we attribute everything to the devil's work ethic, bro. But I always disagree with that, bro. I remember one time, Mommy love you to death. I remember one time, I think my mom accidentally threw something away that she wasn't supposed to, right? I think it was like food or something. Like, you know, you might have the trash in one on. Like you might have like a grocery bag of trash and then your lunch.
You ain't gotta do mom like this, man.
Yeah, but I remember as a young child, I remember my mom. She was reflecting on a day later. She was like, "But that was so busy, bro. Caused me throw away my food that I was trying to throw away." Then my mom was like, "But are we gonna give that to the devil? Like, was that the devil for real? You know what I mean? Sometimes we just distracted, bro. Like, I know if we could pin the devil, everything on the devil, you know, mom still love you. You know what I mean? It probably was the devil. I wrong. Don't kill me. Don't text me."
But sometimes, like honestly though, sometimes I really think we be giving the devil too much credit and not really understanding why certain things might be happening. And in our defense, we don't know why they happen. And in the story of Job, God said, I don't need to give you a reason why certain things happen. It happened.
But the devil was busy and not in that story though.
Oh yeah.
He was pretty busy.
Might not have been a good example to use it.
For real. He definitely was busy in that chapter.
Oh my.
Oh man.
But yeah, God do be protecting us in ways we don't even know or quantify. You know, like we sometimes like you heard about the big things like, oh, I was in this car accident and my life was saved, but you don't even know the accidents God even prevented you from getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, good thought, man. Good thought.
Oh, praise the Lord.
So last week's episode, we went over 2 Kings chapter 17. That episode had a lot of hidden gems in there, man. But we saw the end of what was known as the kingdom of Israel. We saw the kingdom of Syria came down and attacked them and besieged the city and just conquered them. You know, and then in the reflection, we see how even the king said, okay, I'm taking you guys out of the land, putting you in my land in a different city. I'm going to put my own city folk in your land, the people of my nation in your land. They got ate, but they were getting attacked by lions. They cried out to the king like, hey, we need to learn to fear the God of this land. The king say, okay, fine. Find me a priest from their nation and let's send back down to teach my people what to do. And he surely taught them what to do. And they were fearing God, but still worshiping their own gods. And we got this conclusion at the end of the chapter. This was essentially saying that even though they think they were fearing God, they were not fearing God. And the whole chapter had this whole section where it was just talking about, man, how they got to that state. How if they had only done what was right in the sight of God, they would have not even been in this position. Well, surely enough, they didn't. For centuries, they didn't. The kings, the people, there was no difference between these people that God conquered from Assyria, from the other Canaanite nations. There was no difference. They were fortune telling. They were worshiping the different gods. They were sacrificing children. They were worshiping the Ashtoreths. They were doing all the occult practices. There was nothing godly about them that set them apart. And one could argue God said, this is what you guys want to be so bad, just be a part of the nation completely.
That's what y'all want to do. Y'all want to serve their gods. Let's see how they feel about you. Because consider this, right? You know, even in the Bahamas, when you move away from the Bahamas and a Bahamian is in the news, it's like you try not to be too critical on them because it's like, you know, this is my countryman. Like, let's say we have an athlete, you know what I'm saying, who got some bad press. It's like, not too much on him. You know, that's still our people. You know what I mean? And even Christians, like, I give Christians a lot of grace when I see some stuff. Now, if you just completely malpracticing and abusing, I don't have a high tolerance for that. But a lot of times it's like, you know, they Adventist or they Christian or, you know, all right, I ain't gonna lay it on as hard as I want to right now. But consider how the Assyrians did not care. Like they did not care, bro. Like, I don't care what God you worshiping, bro. Like, I can give you another example. We about to talk about Hezekiah, right? Hezekiah daddy, Ahaz, was worshiping idols and stuff like that. But he still had to pay. He still had to pay Tiglath-Pileser. You know what I'm saying? Ahaz still had to pay the Assyrian king for protection and to help them fight. But it wasn't like oh no, bro, we on the same team, bro. We worship the same God, bro. I got your back. No, bro. They don't care. They do not care, bro. Like, the Israelites was worshiping idols from other nations. But them other nations, he ain't come and say, bro, that's us, that's us, bro. That's, you know what I mean? We all a Drimelech worshipers. Well, I guess I don't know if Israel was worshiping them, but you know what I mean? Ain't nobody cared, bro. Nobody cared, though. Like, they still get their things. And at the end of the day, the only real God that period, Jesus, I mean, Yahweh, Yahuwah, he wasn't on your side no more. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, that was the only person truly that y'all could have called on. Like, all of the gods that y'all was following after and the nations y'all was trying to be like, bro, they was trying to enslave y'all. And they don't care who you worshiping, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, like, in hindsight, that was not a good deal, bro. That was not a good, just wasn't a good deal, bro. Like, you trade your God for their
just
God.
remind me of?
What's that?
Like, I'm sure your mommy probably tell you the same thing growing up. Mind the company you keep,
Oh, most deaf.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
we see it's a classic example of not minding the company that you keep.
Yep.
Because Israel went in the land. They were supposed to, vanquish these people. But no, they decided to be friends and buddy-buddy with them. And slowly but surely, they started to integrate with the people more, becoming pretty frenzy, as we would say in the Bahamas. Pretty frenzy.
Yep.
And now, slowly but surely, they start to take on the practices of these people. And, growing up, I can appreciate these lessons now, right? I used to be like, Mommy, what you mean? Like, I want to be friends with this person. I want to go over with these people else. Mommy would be like, no, 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 no. You ain't doing that. Because why? I can't vouch for what these people have in their household. I can't do that. I can't protect you in that environment. I don't know what they believe. So you ain't going over there. Now, Israel, instead they stay home. They won't go hang with their friends. And they come bringing all the stuff their friends used to do back in their own country. That's essentially what happened.
That's true.
And now all the bad practices that y'all shouldn't have been picking up, y'all pick up. And now this put a strain between you and your parents. They put a strain between Israel and their God. Because now I tell y'all don't do this. Y'all going to do it. Now you bring it back in my house. And now essentially all God say, that's what you want to do? Go do it then. Go do it. I given you over to what you want to do. I didn't tell you don't do it. Huh?
I say, let's see how it works out.
Let's see how it works out. Like a typical parent, let's see how it works out. That's what you want to do? Go do it.
Go on.
Go do it. I didn't tell you what to do now.
Yeah.
Now you want to find it for yourself. Now don't come to me. Don't come to me when you buck your head.
Yeah, see, Don, I'm sure Don, the sentiment that God was saying, because God wants us to come to Him. Like at the end of the day, like you know what I mean. Like, but that's the approach that the Israelites take, nonetheless, bro. Like they ran away. I wanted to say prodigal, but I learned that prodigal doesn't mean that.
Yeah, you get me with that one.
It doesn't mean that, you know what I mean? But they departed, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it's like there was nothing that constrained them to come back to God.
Mercy. So yeah, that's the Israelites. Unfortunately, the northern 10 tribes, the northern kingdom of Israel has now been conquered. Mm-hmm. Conquered by Assyria. And now this brings us to 2 Kings chapter 18. So in 2 Kings chapter 18, we naturally now shift to the southern kingdom. So reading from verse 1, now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, the son of Elah, the king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father David had done.
Amen.
So there's a little difference here. You know what I'm saying? Like, because usually we would see he walked in the sight of the Lord, not as good as David, though.
Right. That is true. The author has been making a distinction that he was low-key good. He was kind of good. You know what I mean? It's been better. Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't David good, but he was still good until you get to Hezekiah. And I was just laughing because, when they say father, sometimes they mean grandfather or forefather, right? But it's like his literal father. You can't compare him to his literal father in terms of goodness. No, Ahaz is the person we talked about like 2 episodes ago, who, he make an alliance to the Assyrians. He witnessed how they worship their God, and he said, bro, I need that in Judah, bro. We putting that in the temple, you know what I mean? So he built an altar unto the God of Damascus, and he was bugging, like he was wilding, in my opinion. Not even my opinion, he was going crazy, bro. Like, he was running out, as we would say in the Bahamas.
Yeah, he was doing the most.
Yeah.
So now in verse 4, guess what this man did?
You
He
wouldn't believe it.
removed the high places and broke down the sacred pillars.
Amen. Never has it been done.
Never. Some thought it couldn't have been done no more.
I thought I was one of them. I was one of them.
You know, like, and me and Kazi was talking, like, and to me, in my personal opinion, this is a direct capitalization of what was happening to the Northern Kingdom. There's no more time to make a people to move is out of fear or out of great excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are emotional people. If you want to pass something, like, it's a tangent, right? In 2020, we had elections both in the Bahamas, where we from, and America.
Yep, it's the time.
Right? And it was the first time I actually really pay attention to politics in both countries. I don't know, getting old now, you actually start paying attention to some of these things that actually affect your life and things you want to do in life. And it's like, these people ain't really running on policies. Notice the logical me talking, because I want to know what y'all gonna do and how I can maneuver for the future. Y'all running on emotion.
Oh yeah.
How can you get the crowd riled up?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just pure emotion. And I was like, what? And so now back to Hezekiah, right? Y'all see what just happened in the Northern Kingdom? They were all these high places. You see all the high places they get?
Oh yeah, see what I get them?
You see what I get them? Y'all will end up like them? No, son. We got to get what it is. And that's the perfect time.
That is the perfect time. I couldn't think of a better time. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, we can't even say if he would have done it if they hadn't been in that scenario. Because when he reigned at the time of his reign, it was already a lot of tension between Israel and Assyrians, and they was on their way out. So it's like, bro, time like this, whether he wanted to, whether he cared to or not, bro, these got to go.
But it's the perfect time, but he got capitalized on the time. The time would never be this right, bro.
Oh yeah.
They say time is everything. Right. The timing would never be this right,
bro. And so they credit that to something what David would have done. You know what I mean? Because David was a really noble dude, bro. Like, he would not kill Saul. He had 2 times to kill Saul without struggle. Like, he could have easily killed Saul. Saul wouldn't even have known he died. You know what I mean? And David was like, oh, I ain't doing that. I mean, even tearing off Saul's garment, make him what's it called? He was guilty. He felt his conscience. You know what I mean? And so we have Hezekiah, who he coming in hot. You know what I mean? He coming in hot, boy.
Yeah, he doing good. He doing good. Like, man, like, I even went up with the speech was like, hey guys, come on, my people, gather around, right? We see what's happening with the Israelite kingdom. We can't have them.
No.
But we have known for years the apostasy that was happening in Israel. We cannot fall victim. This is a time for a revival. Healing is needed in the land.
Amen.
Let's get rid of all these high places. I know as my forefathers before me, they never got rid of the high places, but now I think it's time. Let's turn away from our wicked ways.
Amen. But at the same time, Hezekiah kind of striking me as someone who it kind of don't matter what the people have to say, bro. I doing this regardless. Because the Bible talk about the high places often, but they don't go into full depth of I should say Kings. They don't go into depth as to all of the things that Judah was doing that displeased God. But here in this chapter, we can kind of see additional things that Hezekiah got rid of that we didn't even know was a problem. So we don't even have a reference to how long this was a problem. You see what I'm saying? But we just know that Hezekiah said, "Wait, this ain't happening." You see what I'm saying? Like,
no. And then Hezekiah keep it going, continuing on. He cut down the wooden image and broke into pieces the bronze serpent that Moses had made way back then. You see, they still had it. He said, buddy, ain't nothing safe.
No, sir.
But we see because he said in those days the children of Israel burnt incense to it and called it Neheshatan.
Yeah.
So now we see like they literally made it into an idol. And so he's
Okay.
saying all of this is going away.
And so that's what I'm saying. So we know the high places was a snare, right? But this thing that been in our family for generations, right? They start to worship it. So it obviously means something to them. And it's personal to Judah because Israel didn't have this. But he like, bro, this gone. This is gone, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know how attached they was to this or not, but it don't matter because to him, done. This is
It's a
out of
snare
here,
to
bro.
y'all. I take it
You
with a
know,
snare.
you
Bye.
know. Yeah, I think he, and it's a good thing too, I think because his dad was like that and he was not like that, he had a personal chip on his shoulder where it's like, bro, no, I ain't allowing that. You know what I mean? Like, my daddy let y'all run wild. No, sir, I against that, bro. And he put his foot down.
Oh my. And so now we see in verse 5, he trusted in the Lord God of Israel. So after him was none like him among the kings of Judah, nor who were before him.
Whoa, this dude was different. Hezekiah was different. What you think it mean that none was before him like that, bro? Like,
But they show it. Like we just talked about it.
They compared him to David.
They compare him to David. Because all
But
the
none
kings...
none was like him? Does that include David?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sense the split.
Yeah, this is sense of split. Because remember, like we was talking about before, you go like, if we go back to what, verse 15? Chapter
15.
Chapter 15, right? Let's see. I just wanted to do a quick one where I went to chapter 12. That's why. Mistakes.
Yeah, I only saying that because like if it's like literal, I'll be taking verse 5. He say he trusted in the God of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Judah,
I
nor
remember, like
before
David was the king of both.
Yeah, of both. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy is all before him was just like, no, there was like, oh yeah, he did right in the sight of the Lord, but not like David. So this is the first one who did right in the sight of the Lord, just like David, removing all the wickedness out of the land.
Yeah, and it kind of showed that, the flower could grow out of the concrete. You know what I mean? Like,
but I mean, it also shows that all these other kings, granted, we say the timing was perfect, but it also shows that all of y'all could have done this too.
Yeah. See, but to me, timing was perfect.
No, timing is everything.
No, timing is perfect, but it still don't account for you being the best. You understand what I'm saying? Because if it was truly just timing, we would have seen a little bit of bare minimum with him. You know what I mean? If his heart wasn't in it, I doing enough to not get captured. But no, you can see the passion. Like the Bible said that there was none like him. You understand? It's like he was, this is him. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was convicted of these things.
When we put the go and we see like, for he held fast to the Lord, for he did not depart from following, but he kept the commandments which the Lord had commanded Moses. The Lord was with him. He prospered wherever he went. And he rebelled against the king of Assyria and did not serve him. He subdued the Philistines as far as Gaza and its territory from the watchtower to the fortified city. So, like in this whole intro to Hezekiah, we see Hezekiah was good. He was like a little mini David.
Yeah. It's so funny how Hezekiah don't got names. So many people have a name, like their reputation precede them. But not Hezekiah. And it might be because of how he end. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
No, a lot of people didn't have a perfect reign, but we know who they are,
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then in verse 9, now it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hosea, the son of Elah, the king of Israel, that Salmanasseh, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. So that's also interesting too, right? Because when did he start his campaign to just take down everything? Because if you read it in this context, he was doing this before they was besieged.
Right. So this is the thing. Early in the chapter, it just mentioned that he did this. So it gives you a summary of his reign, but it don't give us much context on when. But it was so early in his reign that they started to get, you know what I'm saying? Like,
besiege and stuff.
So it's like, we could clearly speculate that this probably happened as a result of whatever, but, we don't know for sure. But it was so early in his reign, That
Interesting.
happened. Yeah.
So now in verse 10, and at the end of the 3 years, they took it. In the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hosea, king of Israel, Samaria was taken. Then the king of Assyria carried away Israel captive to Assyria and put them in Halah by the harbor and by the river of Gozan and by the cities of the Medes, because they did not obey the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant and all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. And they would neither hear nor do them. Verse 13, in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, Sennacherib. Yeah, that's always scare me, but that word, geez.
Yeah, that one. Plenty consonants.
Just for no reason. Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the fortified cities of Judah and took them. Then Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent the king of Assyria at Lachish, saying, I have done wrong, turn away from me. Whatever you impose on me, I will pay. And the king of Assyria assessed Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries of the king's house. And Hezekiah stripped the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord and from the pillars which Hezekiah of Judah had overlaid, and gave them to the king of Assyria. So we see, just like all the kings before, including Solomon and David, he was not without fault.
Mm-hmm.
He had his moment of weakness and moment when he should have turned to the Lord, and he did not turn to the Lord. He leaned to his own understanding, and he made a decision that he probably shouldn't have. I shouldn't say probably shouldn't have. He made a decision that he shouldn't have. He robbed the temple and paid tribute to the king of Assyria because of fear.
Yeah. He forfeit. He apologized, and he paid them to leave him alone. But he paid them from the offering that he gave to God. So you it's like you give someone a gift and you take it away. You know, on your own doing, you lace the temple with golden finishings. Like you got the golden doorknob and thing like that for God. And then when you press for cash, you're like, well, the regular doorknob will do. You know what I mean? Like you take them gold back off and give it to the king, bro. These kings was getting rich off y'all, bro.
Like,
some real bullies, bro. Like
for the low, bro.
Just taxing y'all, you know. Like pay me to leave y'all alone.
For the low. For the
It's
low.
crazy.
And that's what get me, right? Because the Bible already showed that, hey, you was being prosperous wherever you went, and you rebelled against the king and didn't serve him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure God was, you was leading by God to do that. But now all of a sudden you run up against a little bit of resistance, a little bit of tension, and you say, whoa there, buddy, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. You're right, I was wrong. Whatever you charge me, I can pay you.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing too much.
But he already lose, you know. He did already lose. All his fortified cities was taken. All. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I already lost everything. So in his mind, he just like, bro, so that I could get this back, let me just pay you.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Yeah. Yeah, in Chronicles, they go in more depth about Hezekiah, but, you know.
Hezekiah Walker?
So funny, bro. Like, whenever I think of Hezekiah, that's the first name that comes to my mind.
No, for real. Me too. Me too. Like, he's the most famous Hezekiah I know.
Real dog. But that's a shame, though, because, like, somebody who was actually so revered in the Bible, you would think that he's talked about more. Like we know of Elisha, even if you don't really know, can't pinpoint exactly what he did.
What is get me is like how some names age well and some names just don't.
Right.
Like how David, older than Hezekiah, like centuries, but it aged so well.
I think it's because it's like
Hezekiah's so old.
Less letters. I think it's less letters. You know what I mean? Like Hezekiah, Obadiah. You know what I mean? Now, granted, Jeremiah has lasted a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know why. Because obviously Adam.
You can't get older than that.
You can't get older than that. And that name ain't going nowhere. I know her.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, nowhere. Yeah, boy.
So now the story takes somewhat of a turn.
Can I call it a turn?
Some more attention.
A little bit.
No, it takes a turn. No, it takes a turn because here it is. This person, you see when you play it, puppy, it's lick your mouth. That's what he's saying about us now.
Oh, we have
That
so
would
much behemoth analogies in this one episode.
be real talk, but
We
that's
homesick or
equivalent.
something?
Huh?
We homesick or something?
I mean, it's just in us, bro. You can't help it. So that's equivalent to when people say you lay with dog, you get fleas. You know what I mean? Like you play a puppy, they can lick your mouth, bro. And it's very funny, bro. But here it is. The puppy in this analogy is Sennacherib. He defeated you, Fox. You know what I mean? And you turn around and pay tribute to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look how much damage you did to God now by doing so. Because now we're gonna get into Sennacherib's demeanor towards the Lord, considering that the biggest ambassador for the Lord, the king of the nation of God, is paying tribute to me. You feel me? And so yeah, that really put a stain. I think that's really a stain on Hezekiah legacy, because it's like not only was it for the nation, but it's like you put a dent in God reputation by doing so.
Boy. So now let's read. We got a lot of names that, forgive me, I ain't Assyrian. So this could be a little interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The king of Assyria sent Tartan and the Rabashiris and the Rabasakah from Lachish with a great army against Jerusalem to King Hezekiah. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. When he had come up, they went and stood by the aqueduct from the upper pool, which was on the highway to the fuller's field. And they had called to the king, Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, Sebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Aspa the recorder came out to them. Then the Rabbaskith said to them, Say now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, what confidence is this in which you trust? You speak of having plans and power for war, but they are mere words. And in whom do you trust that you rebel against me?
Mercy.
Now look, you are trusting in the
staff of this broken reed, Egypt,
of which a man leans. It will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to all who trust him. But if you say to me, we trust in the Lord our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away, and said to Judah and Jerusalem, you shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Now therefore I urge you, give a pledge to my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses, if you are able on your part to put riders on them. And how then will you repel one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put your trust in Egypt for chariots and horsemen? Have I now come up without the Lord against this place to destroy it? The Lord has said to me, go up against this land and destroy it. Mercy.
And so, like, I don't understand if this before or after what we just read, because sometimes the Bible is summarized things.
I think it's before. That's what I meant.
Right, because the Bible is summarized things, and then sometimes it goes into detail as to how it happened. So I want to believe that this was before as well, and so even before Sennacherib maybe destroy or capture the cities, or capture the fortified cities, he probably came to him and say, bro, you're gonna lose this battle, bro. Straight up, you're gonna lose, bro. God told me to conquer this place. You know what I'm saying? If you pay me, you understand what I'm saying? We can make a deal. We really could strike a deal. And probably if this was actually before Hezekiah denied and they lost horribly, and then he turned around and say, that's when he turned around and say, bro, I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, Yeah, I think when Hezekiah decided that he don't want to deal with Sennacherib initially, Sennacherib sent his messages was like, bro, well, who got you feeling so confident? You know what I mean? So like even in verse 21 where it say, so is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all who wait, hold on. 2021. Now look, you are trusting in the staff of this broken reed, Egypt, on which if a man leans, it will go into his hand and pierce it. You know what I mean? Like he's saying, bro, like, hold on. Because this is what I thinking. Last episode, last chapter, rather, Israel, the king of Israel, Hoshea, decided that he is not going to pay tribute to the Assyrians, but instead he's going to pay to Egypt. And the Assyrians was like, no, and they captured them. You know what I'm saying? So if this probably generally around the same time, and so basically now what's the name? Hezekiah is now saying, bro, I ain't rocking with Sennacherib neither. And Sennacherib like, bro, who are y'all trusting in, bro? Is this Egypt dude, bro? Because like this is a broken reed, bro. You lean on it too hard, it could pass your hand, bro. Like it's not it's not true protection. You know what I mean? Or are you trust? And that's how I internalize these texts. And I could be wrong, but I think he also saying, bro, it can't be God because you just tear down the high places, which shows his ignorance. You see what I'm saying? Because you thinking that that's how we pray to God. You know what I'm saying? But let me see where the text he say. But if you say to me, we trust in the Lord our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away? You feel me? So it's like he don't even know. Like he don't even he just going based off what he observed. Y'all was worshiping these high places all this time. You take it away. So who you gonna turn to, bro? Egypt? No. God, you can't turn to God because you just take away the high places, but that's actually incorrect because the high places was not the God, but they was to foreign gods, you know? So I'm assuming this was before.
And it's interesting too because if you read Isaiah, and Isaiah, however you want to say, how you pronounce this book, because people, anyway, it's 7 verse 17. It says, the Lord will bring on you and your people and the house of your father a time unlike any since Ephraim broke away from Judah. He will bring the king of Assyria. Essentially, Isaiah telling them that, yo, the Assyrians will come for you. He will come for you. Yeah. And then even you go down, they say that day the Lord will whistle for the flies of the Nile of Egypt and for the bees of the king of Syria, and they will all come and settle in the steep ravines and the crevices and the rocks and the thorn bushes at the water holes. And they, the Lord, will use the razor hired from beyond the Euphrates River, the king of Assyria, to shave your head and private parts, to cut off your beard also. In that day, a person will keep alive a young cow and 2 goats, and because of the abundance of the milk, anyway, you're getting lost in the tangent, right? But essentially, like, yeah, Isaiah, who was the prophet during this time, was telling the Israelite kings, even Ahaz and Hezekiah, like, no, the Assyrians are going to come for you guys because you guys also ain't too far off from how Israel is right now. And to your point, he coming and saying, so y'all trying to go with Egypt? Come on now.
Can't be.
Like, this was your plan?
Can't be. Think again.
Like, my word, I doing you a favor right now.
Dog, that one, he ain't no true member. You can't trust him.
You can't trust him.
You can't trust him. I tell you, nah,
think
bro.
he on your side.
No, sir.
Oh, my. So now, which verse am I on?
Well, I already started reading the Chronicles account. So
I think I'm on verse 26.
Okay.
Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, Sebna, and Joah said to the Rabshakeh, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in Hebrew in the hearing of the people who are on the wall. But the Rabshakeh said to them, has my master sent me to your master and to you to speak these words, and not to the men who sit on the wall, who will eat and drink their own waste with you? Then he stood and called in a loud voice in Hebrew and spoke, saying, Hear the word of the great king of Assyria. Thus says the king, do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you from his hand. Nor let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, the Lord will surely deliver us. The city shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for thus says the king of Assyria, make peace with me, buy a present and come out to me, and every one of you eat from his own vine, and every one of you eat from his own fig tree, and every one of you drink the waters of their own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive groves and honey, and you may live and not die. But do not listen to Hezekiah, lest he persuade you, saying, the Lord will deliver us. Has any of the gods of the nation at all delivered its land from the hand of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Aphrid? Where are the gods of the Seraphim and Hena and Eva? Indeed, they have been delivered. Indeed, they have delivered Samaria from my hand. Who among all the gods of the lands have delivered their countries from my hand? The Lord should deliver Jerusalem, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem from my hand. But the people held their peace and answered him not a word, and the king's commandment was, do not answer them. Then Eliakim and Hilkiah, who was over the household, Shebna the scribe, and Joel of Asper the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their own clothes torn, and told him the words of the Rabshakeh.
So I was just reading Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 Chronicles 32, it gives you a better timeline, less of a summary. And so it goes into how Sennacherib, they came and they encamped against the cities. And Hezekiah consulted the leaders and he gave them a speech. He told them to be strong and courageous. And then that's when the king of Assyria sent his servants after they had already laid siege. Wait, hold on. After Sennacherib, king of Assyria, sent this 2 Chronicles 32, verse 9. After the speech where Hezekiah was saying, yo, let's all be strong and courageous. This is before anything had happened. He said, after this, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, sent his servants to Jerusalem, but he and all the forces with him laid siege against Lachish. So after the speech, they actually laid siege against Lachish. And then he said to Hezekiah, king of Judah, and to all Judah who were in Jerusalem, saying, thus says Sennacherib, king of Assyria, in what do you trust that you remain under siege in Jerusalem? Does not Hezekiah persuade you to give yourselves over to die by famine and by thirst, saying, the Lord our God will deliver us from the hand of the king of Assyria? So we can see that this is the same speech, but it gives us much more detail. So this was actually during the siege. So it wasn't that. So in Kings, it kind of give you the impression that they was already defeated, and then Hezekiah come to them and was like, bro, I'm sorry. And then he pay him off. But it was like, they get him a little taste, and it was clear to see that y'all was going to lose. And now mid-battle, he give you a speech saying, bro, what is Hezekiah telling you, bro, to make you think that y'all going to beat me, bro? Let's think about this. Let's really... It's a cocky young man, I know how old he was, but it's a cocky man, bro. He said, let's really think about it, bro. You can't turn to Egypt. You can't turn to God. You just break down the idols, which, for the record, that is incorrect. You could turn to God. You understand? And he did not do anything wrong by breaking down the high places, rather. But then he turned around and said, bro, we have been beating y'all for a while now. My father's father's father have been whooping y'all, bro. Like, straight up. And who saved y'all? What God has saved y'all, bro? From time we was doing this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then he started calling out gods. He said, bro, remember when we beat this nation? Their gods, he ain't helped them. You know what I mean? Like, bro, in his mind, it make logical sense, bro. We defeat many nations, many gods. You know what I'm saying? And we them boys. You know what I mean? We did it. And so
whatever Dora said.
Yeah, as it stands, he feels the same way. Sennacherib feels the same way towards Judah. very interesting conundrum Hezekiah finds himself in. And so let me see what chapter 19 talks about, kind of determine where he can go. So yeah, so this is an ongoing thing for the next chapter. Yeah, for the next chapter or two, I ain't gonna lie. Nope, for the next chapter. So this is just the first part of it. This chapter is just the first part of it. So we can see that. I see now I look confused. Now I look confused because we can see that he did pay off Hezekiah, right? But then, I mean, he did pay off Sennacherib, but then at the same time, they did go to war too. You know what I mean? They actually continued the war. And so I believe that midway, he paid him off to chill. You see what I'm saying? But it's like your boy was so blasphemous that it was like, all right, I can't I can't just let that die like that, bro. Like we gotta actually take some action for real. Like this.
Yeah, next chapter gonna be interesting.
Yeah, no, you see the next chapter, it's a continuation from this chapter.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. So how you wanna land this plane?
I mean, it's what it is, bro. Hezekiah, righteous man. Boom. But he was not without tests. I'll say that. He was not without trials. So earlier in the text, I believe they were saying that he went against the Philistines. Yeah. So verse 8, he subdued the Philistines as far as Gaza and its territory from watchtower to fortified city. And so we see he was victorious, bro. He's victorious. It reminds me of most of the righteous men in the Bible, you know, where we have Joseph was victorious, not victorious, but he was successful in everything he did, everything he put his hands to. You know, we have Solomon, you know, asked for wisdom and was successful. You know, David. You know, we have some righteous people who put their trust in God and things went their way. But it was not without tests. It's not without tests. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure if we read everything in totality, like if we read Isaiah and the other prophets as well as Chronicles and the Chronicles account of what led up to these things, it could give us a little more clarity as to why this happened. What prompted this to happen? Was this the sins of your father? You know what I'm saying? Catching up to Israel. Was it because Israel, although you had taken down these things, Judah, although Hezekiah had taken down the high places and the idols, was it that Judah, the people still worship these things, or they had contempt against Hezekiah for that? You know, what is the reason that prompted the Assyrians to be so victorious against them? Like, why did not God prevent them? I don't have the answer now. When we continue throughout the Bible narrative, we will have a more full thing. And I'm kind of like hesitant to actually go through all of that because we're gonna have to go through these books some more. You know what I'm saying? So it's best to uncover more things as we go. But the fact of the matter is the trial did happen. The trial did happen and y'all got beat, bro. Like it just is what it is, bro. Y'all get beat. But it's like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do after when you lose, bro? When you take an L? You know what I'm saying? It's like that reveals a lot of your character. So we built up this guy, Hezekiah. They talk about how righteous he was. They talk about how he undid a lot of the idolatry that was happening in Israel. They even compare him to David, right? But now, at your lowest moment, at your weakest, what do you turn to? We see that he turned to laying down. He truce, threw in the white flag. And it wasn't that he threw in the white flag. It was at God's expense. It wasn't that he just said, yo, truce. He went into the temple, took money out of their treasury, you know what I'm saying, to pay him. Now, in previous kings, especially in Israel, they would say they went into the house of the Lord and their personal treasuries. You understand what I'm saying? I don't even say in Israel. Ahaz did that. His father did that. His father went into the treasuries. Ahaz went into Ahaz's treasuries as well as the house of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, now you taking away from the duties, you taking away from the financial ecosystem of the temple, bro. Like the Levites got to get paid. You understand what I'm saying? They don't have an inheritance. They getting paid from other people. And it's like you taking They're getting paid from what you donate to the temple. And you're taking that and giving that to Assyria. You know what I'm saying? It's not that you just not pledging your allegiance. It's not that you submitting to them, bro. But God is at God's expense. Now let's make it applicable. How many times, my boy Will, who's a gospel rapper, he say, when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else, right? Mm-hmm. How many times did we say yes to something else and it cost us to say no to God at the same time? When Hezekiah decided that, bro, truce, I joined in the white flag, I'm going to pay you means I'm going to give to you means I'm taking from God. And I think I had a sermon that was titled, "This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us," or maybe I was playing with that mindset. But it's like, what do we fill in our heart with? It's like, if we want to fill our heart with God, we can't, it's not enough room for God and the world to be in our heart. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough room for the world and God to be in our heart at the same time. So it's like, we fill our heart with God, we taking away from the world. You know, we can't be lovers of the world. And John, they say, if you love the world and you hate, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's basically like you hate God. You can't love the world. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a friend to the world and a servant of God at the same time. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it oftentimes it comes like a crossroad or a decision where you have to make, bro. Am I going to put my career? Am I going to put my pleasures? Am I going to put my day-to-day operations ahead of God? Or am I going to trust in God? When the pandemic was coming, a lot of people had to put their trust in God. A lot of people had to decide, bro, am I going to compromise something just for the sake of living and eating? You know what I'm saying? Or am I going to trust in God to work it out? You know what I'm saying? And by the grace of God, we can see where even the righteous guy, Hezekiah, when put to the test, when at his lowest to decide whether he needed to trust in God or trust in man, he decided to trust in man. Hezekiah did what was right in the eyes of the Lord and walked in the ways of his forefather, King David. However, in the face of defeat, Hezekiah submitted to the king of Assyria and paid him with money from the temple of the Lord. The Assyrians had a mighty army, and their king, Sennacherib, was blasphemous as he taunted Judah. But the Lord sent the prophet Isaiah to give Hezekiah some good news. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your host, Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.